Welcome to the University of Badassery podcast. It's been what, a year since we did our last episode?
It's been in Ronication time. It's been a while.
We always say we have no excuse, Patrick McNamara, but and even this wasn't technically scheduled. This came out of a conversation I had with our guest, who's
Totally winged.
more than just a guest. I consider Brother Rick Hogg to be family. Rick Hogg of War Hog Tactical. Welcome once again to the University of Badassery.
I appreciate it, CJ. Pat, what's going on, buddy?
How you doing, my man? Always good to see you, even if it is through the computer screen.
Hey,
But,
it's all right.
You look chipper, happy, and full of life and vigor.
Man, you got to be nowadays, you know?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, no sense in pissing and moaning, you know?
That's right. I see Mac this way more than my kids, and my kids live with me.
Yeah, right.
It just
Dude,
seems like we've been doing this a lot lately. I can't
Yep.
keep track of what meeting we're having or what have you.
Yep.
And for people and we'll dispense with this really quick, and then Mac can talk about our sponsors. But one of the reasons why we don't do more podcasts is simply because we're doing them weekly. We did 2 hours on a Zoom call with our Keep the Blaze Alive coaching squad on Sunday night.
Mhm.
Before that, we did a 2-hour live stream every week on Thursday night.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
People, I mean, Pat Mac, you are telling stories.
Yep.
You are answering questions. We're giving you laryngitis, literally,
Yeah.
in 2 hours.
Yeah.
You're
The
answering that many
live,
questions.
I am on for 2 hours on the lives, and I usually just open up without questions. I just start right into anecdotals or, about the day's events. And damn, bro, before I know it, I'm looking at the clock. I'm going, holy shit, man, I'm freaking tired.
And you do that right after the metal, because we
Right.
start every live stream with a heavy metal video.
Mhm.
So
Yep.
I just kind of tell people, when they make comments on your videos about, hey, Mac, do a video on this, do that. When are we going to get another podcast episode? I'm like, God, join the squad.
Right.
You'll have podcasts out the ass.
And then content.
Yeah.
Man, the information that we put out on there,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's a massive, massive data bank.
Yeah.
There's some good freaking stuff on there.
Yeah, I was looking at the other day. It was like, how many
Mm.
videos was it? It was, you were like up beyond 60 or something like that.
Mhm.
60 how-to videos
Right.
and everything from cooking to
Shooting
making
to
a
gardening to
everything.
traps and snares to primitive skills to lock picking
Yeah.
to I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't even know. I don't even all of the Sentinel stuff, all the basic dude stuff. How about that?
Yeah.
Boom.
So everything that anybody could ever need. So if anybody wants to join us in the squad, and all the stuff we're talking about right now, just with the live stream and the how-to videos, are all at the introductory level.
Right.
So you're talking about, I mean, even the upper tier 1 level isn't expensive.
Mhm.
It's very, very expensive, but at the bottom level for under $20, you get all that. And I think you should sign up today. So you can do that at patreon.com/coaching squad. Mac, real quick, our sponsors of today's podcast.
We got Invader Coffee, right? So our friend Wes Whitlock from Rogue American Apparel also owns Invader Coffee. Invader Coffee! And then we got Taconic Distillery, Taconic Bourbon.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the best bourbon you will drink, regardless of your tastes. If you like it.
Yeah, the only reason why
hotter, sweeter, it's freaking awesome.
The only reason why we're still doing the podcast is because free bourbon and free coffee.
That's right. That's it.
Otherwise, you guys don't pay us jack shit.
Right. Yep. Mhm.
Do more podcast episodes. You guys are so generous with our time.
Yep.
No, we like having the sponsorship, and thank you to them. But
Hey, Killcliff is on board now too, right?
Killcliff is on board too. That's right.
Yeah, man. I
about
forgot
that, man.
Killcliff. Yeah, they're on board.
Yeah, so you got the Killcliff.
Boom.
I'm drinking the Invader. Hey, look, Rick's got
Yep.
his
There you go.
CBD infused
Yep.
Killcliff 25 milligrams.
I left Killcliff out, man, but they're brand new.
Yeah. They're
So-
brand new. And we're sponsored by, if you look at Rick Hogg's background, for those who are watching by video, we're sponsored by America.
Yep. Marca.
Gotta
If you
be.
look at Pat Mac's background, you were sponsored by Judas Priest. Oh, man. We get great feedback on the podcast. We appreciate all that, ladies and gentlemen. But this was not scheduled. We were actually going to do another topic for the podcast. And But this came out of a conversation that Rick and I had the other day, and we go back and forth to some degree on each other's posts when it comes to dogs. So I thought it'd be a great idea to do a special spotlight episode. Spotlight means we're only talking about one thing. We're not doing Q&A and all that other stuff and getting into other topics. We're talking about one topic, and that is all things dogs. And you might say, well, why is Rick Hogg of Warhog Tactical on here to talk dogs with Pat Mack and CJ? Rick, why don't you tell them, give them a brief history. They can watch an old episode to find out more, and a lot of people will know you.
Sure.
Give them a brief history and why dogs are relevant.
Yeah, so quick snippet for me. I was an SOF canine handler. I was fortunate enough to retire my working dog, Duco, who's home with me now. If you guys haven't followed, Duco ended up with osteosarcoma. We had to end up amputating his right rear leg. So we've kind of started a new direction when it comes to the whole dog part, if you want to say, how do you deal with a tripod or a three-legged dog? Right. It's really not a big deal. It's kind of getting a story out there, but yeah, still very much vested in the dogs, getting the info out there and just educating people out there on dogs and dog training.
Yeah, so like we said, we don't necessarily want to get into the hardcore stuff of service and protection type. We're speaking today as dog owners.
Yep.
Because Duco is not on the battlefield anymore, and
Nope.
neither is Rick or Pat Mack. So we are all home with our dogs. But, I was thinking so much about this topic before today's recording, and something that came back to mind is one of my favorite verses in the Old Testament, and it says, "A righteous man hath regard for his beast." I love the way it says it too. A righteous man hath regard for his beast. And dogs are beasts, and these are the beasts of the field that we have, as it says, dominion over. Now, dominion doesn't mean domination. Dominion means mastery. Dominion means governorship. Dominion is attached to the idea of responsibility. And we have shelters filled with dogs because of irresponsible dog owners, right? That's how they end up there. And we have dogs that are wreaking havoc in homes, not properly behaved and or trained. People are frustrated, stressed out, and they just learn to accept it. They don't necessarily have to, but there's all sorts of reasons for that. They think their dogs are kids, right? Whatever, but they're not governing these things, Rick, are they?
No, they're not. And, here's the thing, CJ, right? So you got to think a couple years ago, famous raid out there. Everyone was like, oh, I got to get me a Mally, Belgian Malinois. That was it. Here's the thing, guys. My biggest thing to the viewers, listeners out there is if you're going to get one of these dogs, number one, why are you getting him? Right. And then number two, do you have the time invested to put into this dog? So if I could tell you the number of posts I've seen on the interwebs where, oh my God, I came home and I've got no couch or I've got no carpet or I've got no wall because this dog that you give no time to, who needs, kind of that mentorship, for lack of better terms, just tears your house apart. And you're like, what do you expect? Right. So you get this Ferrari at your house. If you're not using it to its full potential, he's going to find his own thing to keep him busy. Right. And then you're going to wind up with catastrophic results. So that's the biggest thing is if somebody's looking to get, a working style dog, what's your reason? Ask yourself that. Why are you getting this dog? And then number two, say, do you have the time to put and train the dog and be consistent? That's the other part. You can train them all you want. If you're not consistent. So if I'm using certain verbiage for the dog, mom is using certain verbiage, he's going to have some confusion as far as what's going on. Or you see the classic, pet owner. How many times do you see somebody yelling the dog's name? Spot, spot, right. Spot. Okay. You've called his name. Now what? He's not a mind reader. Give him a command or something to do. So, yeah.
Yeah, man, nothing worse than, well, it's how CJ opened, irresponsible dog handlers, and it's so unfair for these dogs. Like, for instance, another working dog that has a lot. I know somebody who got a border collie, and bro, I know this person. They are not going to work that thing. There's no freaking way, And a lot of those dogs like that, they can train intuitively or just by vicariously, just by watching another dog work.
Right.
And I just think it's freaking unfair. It's so freaking unfair, you know. But kudos to you guys because you guys have working dogs, and you put the effort in to maintain that consistency in the training because not only do they need it, but they want it.
They want it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
They
100% they do.
Mm-hmm. I mean, even my pound puppies, they love little training snippets, and I don't go along with them.
Right.
But they love little, just little learning new things. They love it, and they love to be rewarded with "Good job, man! Grace, you rock. You did so well with that." With stay,
But Pat, with that, so at least for the viewers, they can kind of see, the little clicker here, right?
Yep.
And a lot of people don't even know what the clicker is. So all the clicker is just a little tool that you can sit there and it just makes audible tone.
Yep.
Now, do you have to buy this commercially contraption? Nope. If you can snap your fingers the same every time, it's still marking that behavior. And that's what people, a lot of people don't understand when they're trying to train their dog is mark that good behavior you're looking for. And then at some point, typically the food reward is what most people will give. And you give them some food reward, or here's one better. You want your dog really to perform? Food dep them a little bit. I'm not saying starve them, So we used to do it. We used to do it. We wouldn't feed him in the morning, right? Yeah. Now that dog, that little kibble, he's driven that much more because he wants to perform because boom, that's his reward. And it means that much more.
Right.
Yeah. But how many people are out there putting that info out there? They're not. No. And I'm not saying it's abusive trust me, your dog is not going to die by missing his morning meal. No. He will make it up and kibble that you feed him, barring you're doing a good, training routine.
Yeah. Well, it's like leaving your dog at home and hasn't gone to the bathroom. If you see some of these guys and gals who are brokering dogs, you'll get these Malinois or these shepherds or what have you coming off, in a crate off the airplane off a 16-hour flight.
Yeah, right.
And of course, the first thing they do is take them to feed. I'm like, how in the world did you hold it that long? The dogs are resilient. And I think a basic problem is what we said at the outset, that people assume more humanity to the dog than they realize. And you have to really be spending a lot of time with your dog, not just training, but I mean being around your dog. I hear from people. I was at a little hospital thing just to get a checkup on something one day, talking to the gal who was treating me, and we were talking about dogs, and she was saying how the problem she was having with their dog at home, the husband was at home, but the dog, he was upstairs working, and the dog was essentially left to itself for 8 hours a day. So the problem of barking and all of these other things, like Rick said, they're going to find something to do. They're going to find things to occupy themselves. And so they don't have any structure. It's interesting. The other night on when it was our Zoom call or the live stream, Mac was talking about when he was doing some of the training of other special forces guys years ago. And he said he had this one guy who was ultra amped up. So they were doing, close quarter training, which is dangerous, as you guys know. And so this guy was a little too excité, as they say, a little too excited. And so Mac, pulled him aside and talked to him and said, hey, man, do you run or anything in the morning? Because if not, it might be a good idea for you to do that. Get some of that energy out so you're a little more calm. And the whole time he's saying, I'm thinking that's exactly what we do with dogs, is help them because they want to exercise, they want to train, they want to do all of these things, but we don't give them that. The goal for a lot of people is just hoping they don't chew everything to shreds, and maybe they'll do sit and roll over. And that's the extent of it. Because anything else requires discipline. And discipline means I'm hurting the dog.
Yeah, man.
That's the farthest thing from the truth, man. Discipline means you're hurting the dog. So discipline, look at it this way. Discipline is more to the handler. All right. So if you're going to go out to that walk, right? Because you should be getting some exercise, or even better, if you run, are you running with your dog? Are you walking your dog? Simple things like that. And I get it. There's a time and place when you want to plug in, if you want to say dog training. Do I always want that dog jerking me around? Nope, I don't. Can I, use some dog training and have him at a heel and we can walk and have, a normal walk? Yep. Is there times that I'm going to say, hey, buddy, you know what? You're on your own. So here's a prime example, like with Duco. Duco loves to run out of the gate fast. Cool, buddy. Let's do it. I'll let you go out in front. He's good for about a half, maybe 3/4 of a mile at that speed. Then he starts tuckering back and he starts lagging back. Oh no, buddy. You brought this on you. Come on. Let's keep going.
Yeah.
So it's kind of that self-correcting. But
Right.
most people go, oh, the dog's pulling me. In this case, yep, he is. And I let him because it was trying to serve a point of, hey, buddy, the longer race than just the quick little sprint out the gate. So, but the discipline, it's on the handler. Get out and work your dog. And it doesn't have to be anything crazy, man. You can stand there, even just throwing the ball to him, working some simple fetch drills. There's all kinds. Let your imagination be your guide.
Yeah, I was just doing that this morning, actually, because I didn't have a lot of time to do a more extensive walk. So I've got sufficient property in the backyard, and so I just take the dog toys. They're all in a a backpack. So she knows the backpack. That means that's toys.
Oh yeah.
Then, but so I'll do that, and we'll go back and forth. We'll do sprints, race each other, all that kind of thing. But then we'll stop, and I'll say, "Just sit down, up, stay," and then I'll go back with her thing and let her come run and chase and grab it, almost like a bite drill kind of thing. But talk about crazy drills, Mac. Mac, what do you do with Grace with the golf cart?
Oh yeah. Well, excuse me. So routine, right? So I have a routine with them, and they dogs love routine, man. But they know that they are my priority. Well, Rebecca's priority number 1 in the morning,
That's right.
and they come second. I'm coming third,
Right.
But so I walk them across the street. I've got woods and a decommissioned golf course. I walk them together. But it's not good enough for Grace because she's a high energy dog. For Gretchen, she's a rat terrier Shih Tzu, and she's old. She's a bitch, and she doesn't give a shit. She just wants to go out and poop in the woods, and she'll run a little bit. But with Grace, I do typically an additional walk in the afternoon. I'll bring her out to the garage, and she gets fired up because I jump in the golf cart. And I'll drive it down the driveway, stop, and we sit at the edge of the road for a while. I'm making her sit there for a little bit. I say, all right, walk. And she boats, and then I just punch that golf cart. And there's a mile loop. And I will drive at full freaking speed. And it's a pretty fast golf cart. And she freaking digs it. Just that sprint running the whole time. And she's right along the side of it. Sometimes she pushes forward. Sometimes, of course, she's got to stop to sniff something. Then now she's got to sprint to keep up because I'm not slowing down. I just keep the gas going. And I'm going, come on. And I can see her turning around and going, oh, my God, tongue hanging out of her freaking mouth.
And she still hasn't lost an ounce of weight.
No. Yeah, but and that's the other thing, she's a Dutch bull, right? So Dutch Shepherd Pit Bull, according to DNA. And that routine thing is really important, right? The routine. So I think with lazy dog owners, because I know a bunch of them, they just free feed, a big freaking bowl of food.
Yeah.
And they just dump it in there, and the dog can eat whenever it wants, man.
Yeah.
My dogs know. 5 o'clock, they're like, oh, man, it's getting close. Getting real close. And then I give, some jerky in the morning. But just a little snacky snack.
Yeah, I think it's important to let them be dogs. Even go back to what Rick said is, it's the balance with training and the like. When you think about the fact that there are dogs who are trained to smell changes in blood sugar levels, service dogs, what kind of nose do you have to have when you can smell the elevation of blood sugar in a human being? And if you've got that kind of smell, then when your dog wants to stop and sniff something, like Max said with Grace chasing, that they're being a dog, and it's good for you can't harness that kind of a tool. When you've got that kind of a powerful smell, you want to smell some stuff. But the other side of that is, and this is something that I had to realize early on once I got my Shepherd, was because those ears are, straight up big. They hear everything, smell everything, see everything. And when you talk about how great their hearing is, how great their smell is, their senses, when they step out into, the outdoors or take them to a park or something, and there's dogs, there's people, there's birds chirping, there's wind blowing, and, things going on. To us, we think, what a beautiful day. To them, it's a rush of stimulation. coming from everywhere, amplified. So imagine if we turned up all the volume and the smells and the colors and everything to overload more than you've ever gotten used to, and then throw you into that park, you'd be freaking out at that park.
Yeah.
And so a dog is the ultimate existentialist because they're thrown into existence and they have to contend with it.
But the thing is, CJ, you know, when you're looking at their nose, especially their nose, and this is the thing that people don't understand. So if we smell a cheeseburger, you smell the cheeseburger.
Right.
The dog, he can break it down, smell the bun, smell the burger, smell the cheese, smell the onion, smell the pickles, whatever else you got on there. That's how much their nose is broken down.
Right.
So, you know, kind of the reference you're using, hey, detect, you know, the blood sugar change. They're breaking things down more than we can even fathom. Right. You might smell, man, that's whatever's cooking smells good. Right. Man, if they're using a certain spice, whatever, that dog is picking all that stuff up. That's why these dogs can, you know, have amazing detection capability, whether it's, you know, sensing in humans that, you know, body chemistry changing, whether it's explosives, narcotics, whatever they're trained for, you know, finding kids, you know, lost kids out in the woods, whatever they're doing.
Right.
It's those amazing noses, man. And people just don't really understand all that, especially in that, you know, sense of, man, that nose does things that still to this day, technology cannot do.
Yeah. My dog had her first heat cycle back in Halloween. It began the day of Halloween. And so when I take her outside, all of a sudden you can hear the howling from like blocks away, man. I'm like, they can smell her from way down. Mm-hmm. I slapped the crap out of her and said, "You whore." No, I didn't do that. But all to say is, when they have that sort of stimulus, I think what people, when they see the leash reactivity or leash aggression, when they go outside, your dog is not necessarily aggressive. Your dog is more reacting because it's getting hit with stimuli from at a whole nother level, hearing everything. And so it's an existentialist. So existential means you're in existence with no knowledge of an essence. You don't know who you are. Imagine if we just zapped your mind blank, no memory of your name, your personal history, nothing. And we just threw you on the street somewhere. That's existentialism. You're just thrown into the world. You don't have any knowledge of your essence of who you are in order to contend with what you're experiencing in the world. That's a dog. We come into it armed with the knowledge we received growing up, stuff we developed with life experience, stuff our parents told us, stuff our coaches and employers told. We come to every new encounter armed. Dogs don't. They don't know how to interpret all this stuff. And so to them, they're all potential threats. Potential threats. So depending on how the dog is going to react, right, is it all going to come down to, does that dog feel like it's her or him against the world? And so when we fix that, it's when the dog understands, well, wait a minute, dad, mom has got this. I don't have to contend with the world because my life is structured. Dad determines when I go in, go out, like, you know, it's 5 o'clock at Mac's house. Dad determines when I eat. When dad gets in the golf cart, I know. You know, I'm sure, Rick, when you do certain things around Duco knows it's time, you know, to do certain things. And so, yes, even the liberty that they, like right now, my dog is in the kennel, right? She is in the kennel because kennel is something for her to do, literally. Even though she's sitting on her ass, it is something for her to do. She is assigned that, but it produces the structure. And these are the things that help to quell a lot of the behaviors that people can't quite figure out, and they end up putting their dog in the pound. And it's a terrible thing, man. That's why you've got to spend time so much, not just the training, like I said, but also watching and observing. I observe this damn dog so much, I know when something's off.
Yep.
I'm like, why is she doing that?
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. So kind of an analogy that I would use is I'm the eye of the storm when it comes to Duco. You know, he's looking at me, hey, I'm basically his advocate. I'm the one that's taking care of him, feeding him, doing all this other stuff. But a couple of points that you brought up, you know, a lot of people, hey, if we're going to go outside for the first time, let him be a dog. Give them a minute, let them go around, get their sniffs, you know. Oh, as the dog owner, do you have a command for them to use the bathroom? Yeah. For me, it's go take a break.
Yeah. Break.
You know, pretty much we come out, take a break.
Peas and poops.
And that's it.
That's what I say.
Let them. Yeah. It doesn't matter what you say, but that's the whole point, Mac, right? Is you're telling them, you're giving that command, hey, be a dog, take care of your business. Okay, cool. Once they're done, because you know what their behavior's like. Yep. Now, if you want to start to get into dog training, boom. Yeah. But you hit a key point too, CJ, with the kennel. A lot of people don't treat that kennel. That kennel should be the dog's safe spot. They should want to go there.
Yeah.
Do you use the command kennel to get them in there, or house or box or whatever it is? Right. You know, the kennel, there shouldn't be any pressure there, and you can work that. And a lot of people go, well, you know, the dog doesn't like to go in there. Okay, cool. If you go back to the old, looking at giving them treats. So we food dep them a little bit, right? Give them the command kennel, you know, maybe they stick their head in, maybe we click, maybe we reward, maybe we take the kibble and chuck it in the back. Now he goes in there. Now we mark it. Now we're making it where, hey, this is a fun place to be at. It's a safe place.
Right.
But a lot of people aren't, just a simple thing and getting into the kennel. Yeah. Because like you said, the last thing you want is, okay, you're in the office doing whatever, doing a podcast. Now you come out and go, man, what happened to the couch? Or what happened to this wall that used to be here?
Right.
You know, when you basically put these guys up and don't give them anything to do, they're going to find something to do. So just make that kennel that, you know, safe spot for them. They go there, enjoy it. Yep. You know, don't make it a punishment. And that's what people need to understand.
Yeah. Because again, I think the problem is they humanize the dog. And so they think the dog thinks like we do. It's like I had Derby was doing great. Derby's my dog. We're at the park throwing things. And she finally, for the first time, she's wanted to. And she did some stuff, initially leash reactivity against dogs and other people. But she finally went after somebody, after the dogs. And what's funny is because I had her, she was in the middle field, so that the closest person was 30, 40 yards away. You know, and tons of dogs. I'd been training her. I'd been walking her. She was on the ground, panting, you know, just and body kind of moves with it, you know, and she watched a ton of dogs and people go by. So I'm standing literally over her. And the leash is still on her, but she's technically off leash because I'm not holding it. But again, a person is 40 yards away. Tons of dogs walk by. And so I'm looking at her and I know better. And, you know, she was still laying there and panting. Then all of a sudden the panting started to go quiet and the body stopped moving. You know what I mean? And so I thought to myself, you know what? And I started to put my foot on the leash, right? Let me put my foot on this leash just in case. And as I did, she bolted. That's how quick it was.
Oh, yeah.
So I was assuming the future was going to be like the past, right? Which means I'm assuming she's like my kid who can rationally remember thus and such, not taking into account how much that stimulation changes their psychology, how much they can go when they call loading. When that dog is just staring at something, that dog is loading. The problem is people aren't watching the body language of the dog, and so they don't get it soon enough. All I had to do is, which is what I've done before with her, was as soon as I saw her body start to go stiff, that is when I should have said, look at me. You know what I mean? Just a little treat, little something, little, hey, come over here. Let's go catch the ball again. That's all it would have taken.
Break the loading process.
Yeah.
And that's it, CJ, right? So whether it's reinforcing if she was at the down or the sit or whatever, you know, give her the command again. Right. And a lot of people go, well, you're saying it again. No, they're doing it. I'm just reinforcing it.
Right.
You know, so if she's laying down, whether it's down or off or whatever your command is, boom.
Yeah.
Or we had some, you know, at least for me and Duco, because again, things, whether it be, you know, animal, people, whatever, you can tell when it's like, oh, I want to go check that out.
Yeah.
Leave it.
You leave.
You know, so we plug that in. So now when you start seeing that behavior going, oh, I know what you're getting ready to do. Leave it.
Right. Yeah.
And you put it in that stern voice. And trust me, we've worked it enough where he's had some repercussions, let's just say, from not. But that's the thing. So people, like you said, people are trying to rationalize these dogs like humans. Right. You've got to help them help themselves.
Yeah.
And giving, you know, commands they understand, and then being firm with them, boom, it's easy. But it's, again, you got to be consistent with what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yep. even in verbiage, it drives me crazy. Like, because I'll tell Grace to lie down, and one of the kids said, "Hey, lay down." I said, "No, we don't speak Ebonics to the dog. It's lie down." I mean, she's still gonna, obey that command, but no. There are certain commands for certain reasons, and then we do hand and arm signals too,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yep.
she's real keen to those. Grace is real keen to any dog's trainable. I'm no freaking dog trainer, but man, it's just following the basics. And you want a responsible dog, you got to be a responsible dog owner.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You got to, because I go places where dogs are allowed, like the pub or the growler shop.
Right.
And Rebecca and I look, whining dog or dog just jumping up on people.
Mm-hmm.
I shake my head and go, bad dog owner.
Yeah.
Not bad dog.
Right. Bad dog.
I'm not yelling it at them, but that's a bad dog owner right there. Yeah, because Grace will come out with us and she'll just boom, give her a piece of wood to chew on. She's happy. Dog's walking around. She's just looking at him. She's not moving. She's not moving a muscle.
How often are you giving him treats though?
I don't treat him that. I don't walk with a pocket full of. She's easy.
Yeah.
Grace is real easy. Gretchen's tough because she's older and she's like, I'll do what I want.
Grumpy old lady.
Yeah. So, but
Max,
she's, go ahead.
No, you just brought up a good point where it's like you're giving the dog something to do.
Mm-hmm.
So, boom, there's your piece of wood. You're sitting there chewing on it. So the dog is occupied, worried about that. So in essence, it's not going to sit there and look for that behavior. Hey, somebody pay me attention. Somebody do something. Nope.
Right.
You got your hunk of wood you're chewing on.
Dude, that hunk of wood, I'm like, it'll be a big deal too. You know what I'm saying? Like she'll see me root and I said, oh man, I'm going to find the best piece of wood for you in the bushes or something. Crap. Yeah. I'm like, oh, Grace, look what I have. Look what I have here.
That's it.
Now she's like, oh my God, this is a really big deal.
They do get so excited.
But that's it, man. It's all about the animation. It's all about making, when they do those good things, man, praise that stuff up.
Yeah.
Make it a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it so much expedites that learning process.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because you're sitting there praising them. You can do verbal. I mean, big, long pets, whatever it is that you want to do to stimulate this dog to go, man, that's the behavior I'm looking for. Now things start clicking where they go, got it. That's what he's looking for.
It's very motivating too. So, getting yourself to do these things on a daily basis or a regular basis is challenging for people because that means I got to go take a walk. I got to do this. I got to do that. But you'll be motivated by the results. I define frustration as when you lose sight of the big picture and get trapped in the moment. So when you get frustrated with your kids or your animals, whatever, it's when you lose the big picture. When your little daughter is up there in a dance recital, you're not thinking, I'm going to beat the hell out of that kid. It's when they're fighting with their brother at home when you're trapped in the moment. When they're doing the recital, you're thinking of their future and who they're going to marry and all the wonderful things. You idealize them. And so you're not going to get frustrated. It's when you lose sight of those big pictures and get trapped in the moment that you get frustrated, you lash out, and you mess up on your training, whether it's a child or a dog. And so to get yourself to do things every day, you can watch training videos, you can invest. There's so much free information out there that you can access. But I think what it'll do is it'll help you to see your dog in more positively exaggerated terms. You need to see your dog like a painting on the wall. You need to see, because if you'll do that, you'll experience the results of a well-behaved dog. You'll start to see their behavior, not just, being cool on a walk, not just pulling on the leash anymore, but you'll see them behave better at home. You'll see them so much more relaxed, so much more at peace, because you gave them what they were looking for. I think, Rick, you said at the outset that they want to do things. They want to work. They're bred for this. Now, granted, not every dog is a working dog. Gretchen is just a beautiful lap dog. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But Rebecca with Gretchen on her lap, and you could take a picture, right?
Right.
So whereas, Grace is going to be more work-oriented, Duco more work-oriented, Derby more work-oriented. And people don't think in those terms, that, well, wait a minute, it's why, like Rick said, why do you want this animal? Because they have a function. They're not just, something to take a picture of and get fur everywhere. And believe
You
me,
know,
fur everywhere.
speaking of function, I had a chat with the kids 2 nights ago. I'm drawing up my whiteboard for the next day's chores and activities. And I said, this is all the shit that I have to do tomorrow. And I'm kind of showing them my structure.
Right.
And they say, do you need help with anything? I said, I'm not going to ask you. If there's something that needs to be done, just do it. You're a member of this corporation called home, and we have to contribute to this. And Grace walked in, and Cyan goes, except for Grace, she's a freeloader, you know, because that's what we said, you freeloader. But but I said, well, here's the thing though. Number one, she's early warning, so she's security for the home, because that early warning system works very, very well.
Oh my God.
Number two, companionship and unconditional love.
Yes.
Unconditional. Doesn't freaking matter. It doesn't matter if you've had a bad day, a good day, if you smell great, if you got body odor. None of that shit matters. You get that on demand anytime you freaking want. Unconditional love.
Right.
Love without conditions.
Because God knows you don't deserve it.
Right. Right.
That's why we can't stand you.
Yep.
But
Damn.
thank God your dog does.
I got my dog at least.
Now, Rick, did you what led to the canine involvement for you in the military?
So really it was the upper echelons trying to help me out, progress my promotion status. So they were like, hey, why don't you go ahead and take over the dog team? I mean, I'd worked with the dogs before. Phenomenal. But was it
wait,
really?
And you bought that line? No, this is for your promotion. You'll be a general after this, I swear.
Well, it was getting that team leader time, that I needed to get promoted. And I was like, all right, I guess. Yeah. But man, let me tell you this. Once you got in there, it was the best kept secret, in my opinion, because I was like an independent agent. Here I am with my dog. Yep, I'm still with the boys. I'm still rolling with the same guys I did before. Right. Except now I've got the latitude of kind of having more maneuverability on the battlefield to go, hey, where can I position myself in order to have the best effects? Right. And I mean, I can remember times these guys making a radio call. Hey, where you at? And I'd whisper in their ear, right behind you. And they're like, I'm like, dude, I know the playbook, man. You don't need to ask where I'm at. Trust me, I'm going to be there. Yeah. But it got to the point where the boys, I mean, they loved the dog so much. They ended up, my first dog, Marco, they ended up stealing him one night. So here we are out on target. And I'm trying to recall my dogs. We'd already sent them in, building skirts. Like, all right, let me police the dog back up and move on to the next one. And I can't find him. And you're starting to go, where the hell's my dog? And I look down at the monitor and there's a set of multicam, pants next to him. I'm like, who's got the dog? Oh, we do. We're moving over here. I'm like, a little courtesy would be nice,
That's right. You guys don't know what you're doing.
Yeah. But yes and no. They could probably, get some basic stuff because we worked enough with them. Could they actually hone him to his full capability? Probably not. Would they know exactly what they're looking for? Not really. But the general premise of that's how much the boys love the dog. Yeah. It's like, hey, man, we're going to steal the dog, roll him with. And that was really what I wanted, was he's fully encompassed with the boys. He's on the manifest. God forbid something happened. We're going to call in a medevac for him. U.S. surgeons are going to treat him. I mean, he is part of the pack. So, right. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, well, it's great you got to keep Duco afterwards. So was there any sort of transition for Duco to civilian life?
There was a little bit. So obviously coming to the house, we got 2 little dogs here. Duco was a little dog aggressive, back in the kennel. If he was working, no issues. But I mean, they'd sit there. If you leave them in the outdoor runs, they're chasing back and forth, barking at each other, hooping and hollering. So we just had to make sure that we had I didn't want to rush that part and have any potential dramas where now all of a sudden, all right, he just ate one of them. Then it's like, all right, the other one's certainly going to be next.
Yeah.
But no, we just kind of worked that, slow introductions, just kind of paced it, again, dog training. Hey, these are your little buddies. Right. We got past that point. And yeah, he made full integration. Mama was probably my biggest culprit because Duco didn't know things like goldfish. He knows what goldfish are now, so yeah. And then just trying to go, hey, tell him this, tell him that, so we started working on her German and Dutch and got all that straightened out. So, But yeah.
Well,
but it was a fairly easy transition.
Now, so you weren't brought into the canine aspect because of a previous love of dogs or anything like that. You were just kind of you were indifferent to dogs, had them when you were a kid, no big.
Yeah, I had them as a kid. I mean, I've worked with the dogs plenty prior to. I knew the benefits of. Was it my first choice? Not necessarily. It wound up being, to me, a phenomenal opportunity because, like I said, you were that independent agent. I had kind of free roam. Nobody was really out there going, hey, what do you need? What's this? Hey, if we do have to go chase bad guys, whatever team you're going with, hey, let's find out where the wind's blowing, position ourselves the best way, and let's go out there and do it. And I fully enjoyed it because, man, you're out there 9 times out of 10 out there in the front because we got to get that dog in first. If you're out there chasing bad guys, you're out there chasing, with that team and support. So probably the biggest combat multiplier we brought to the battlefield.
So how did it affect your perspective of dogs?
Totally changed it. Yeah. So when I first started, my mentality was, this is a weapon of war. Right. We take them out, we train, we put them back. And it was one of the dog trainers that was like, hey dude, treat them like a dog. I'm like, what are you talking about? It's like, man, just go out there and have fun with them. Enjoy the part of being a dog. So that took me a little bit to grasp on, but man, once I did, that dog went everywhere with me. Come down to the team room, go to the boys, walk all around, do all the things you're going to do. Because number one, I want, the boys to fully know, hey, this is who you're running with. Yeah. He knows who they all are. And then, man, you're just spending time with dad. So you had that bond of, yes, we're still, even though we're going for a walk somewhere, are we still doing some training? Yep. Maybe we take the occasional pit stop and just chuck the ball and have some fun. Yep. Right. So it was kind of blending those two together where it's like, yeah, you are a weapon of war, no doubt, but you're also a dog. So I'm going to give you some belly rubs and, Yeah. I was just saying, I'd bring him, steak and eggs and bacon back from the chow hall. If we had a good night of work, hey buddy, you're getting a good reward. Yeah. Why not, man? Spoil them. Yeah. I mean, guys would send treats from back home.
Yeah, that's funny.
They would send these little milk bones and peanut butter. And next thing you know, I see the dog, they're chumming the dog. I'm like, what's up? It's like, my dog's getting fat. Quit chumming him, Mm-hmm. That's how much it brought a normalcy over, to kind of a crazy time as well. So
now, Mac, what was your relationship with dogs growing up?
We had none in my family. We had neighbors, of course, with them, and we had a good friend of my father's had a work dog that he retired with. He was a cop, German Shepherd, Harley, and that was my first encounter with a real trained dog. Right. It's like, damn, man, and he would bring him over all the time, and he loved performing. So I had no dogs growing up. I didn't get a dog until like 1994, 95. I got 2 yellow labs.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. They were litter mates. I went to get one, but he was hanging out with another one. And I was like, damn it, man.
Can't separate them, man.
Yeah. And it's funny because they were yellow labs, but they were completely different. One was the yellow, one was the white. One was lean, one was fat. Right. One was real keen, one was a little dull. Yeah. And then I got I found Buck. He was my plot hound. Buck was best dog in the world. Grateful, because I found him. So I rescued him. I found him in a parking lot, and I was like, I don't know what kind of dog you are, but you're lost because you're a good looking dog. And I don't know. So, I brought him home, brought him to the vet, and they were like, do you know what kind of dog this is? No, this is a North Carolina state dog. It's called a plot hound, blah, blah, blah. He was a really, really good animal, easy to train, super quiet. And he didn't give a shit if you loved on him or not. He just wanted a little bit, just a little bit. New guy come in the house, he'd freaking walk over, get his pets, pant a little bit, and he's out. Yeah, back in his corner, laying down, looking at the trees. Yeah. So, yep. But doggies I have right now are they're like freaking frat, man. Grace and Gretchen, they're a riot. And Grace keeps Gretchen young. Gretchen's getting older, but she's a little dog, so she's got a lot of years. She'll probably live to 20. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But so she's 11, and Grace is still young. She's just over 2 years.
Yeah.
She's a
wow. It's already that long, huh?
Yeah, Rebecca knows exactly how old she is. I think she might be closer to 3 now. Maybe 2.5 ish.
I remember when you got her, man.
Yep. She's a good animal. And you know what? I'm not as disciplined as I should be because I really let them live a dog's life. I let them live their best life. So I don't say like, they don't have a specific place to go sleep.
Right.
They kind of rule the roost, and they like the couch, and I'm like, fuck it, you're good. I don't care. But if we need to sit down, you're hitting the floor. Yeah. You could lay there right now, but rules is rules, man. I'm the boss here.
That's right.
And they know that. They know I'm the boss.
And now you've got the kids there, so
Mm-hmm.
They're gravitating towards them too. That was probably a huge bonus for Grace and Gretchen's life.
Oh yeah. Because now they're getting quadruple love. Because Cyan is very particular to Grace, and James is particular to Gretchen.
Yeah.
So they both love on them, differently.
Yeah.
So they're getting this different levels of love, different tiers of love from different people in the family. Where I don't dish it out a lot. I reward and I talk to him. I say, "Good job, good girl, good girl," and they get excited with that.
Yeah. No, I'm the same way. I'm not overly affectionate. I'm not, I don't want to baby them. At the same time, you don't want to be abused on the other side as well.
No.
They don't necessarily need that. We're doing that because we feel like they need that. And again, that's that humanization problem. It is such a huge problem to do your best to try and think like a dog. The biggest favor you could probably do to your dog is learn how to think like your dog. And
yeah, man. Yeah, right. Here's another thing that I don't I'm not a disciplinary. I don't dish out a lot of discipline. Right. It's good, no, stay. But like if they fuck something up, I have to think, well, that's my fault, bro. Yeah. I left him in, or I didn't feed him, or I didn't take him out to go potty. Therefore, there's a freaking big steamy one on the living room floor. That's on me. I'm not going to punish him for that. There's no freaking way. Yesterday I scolded Grace because she took off. I told her not to, but she was chasing a squirrel. Yeah. But the thing is, it was excessive. She took off to the next neighborhood over. Yeah. And I waited. I did not move. I stayed in the same spot. And she came up. She was huffing and puffing because I was yelling at her. I was giving, because she there's a certain whistle that she reacts to. I have a certain whistle, my little, and if she's far away, I do it with the fingers. And she didn't respond to that. She came back. I pinned her, to the ground, boom, by her throat, and scolded her. Right. Gretchen gets real nervous when I scold Grace. She's, oh my God, I don't want any of that. Oh, damn. Holy crap, that is some scary shit. Yeah.
I don't know what I did, but I know I'm next.
But yeah, if they, like Grace tore a lot of shit up because I didn't freaking crate her. I didn't crate her. Yeah. So she tore a lot of shit up, and I would come home and I go, well, it ain't your fault, dog. Yeah. That's mine. That's mine. Yeah. So I'm gonna fix this shit.
Right. Yeah, the crating thing is so huge. For me, it was, again, I had to understand the concept that it was something they were doing, and it was also, again, adding to that structure aspect. But then also, if I'm going down the street or doing whatever, I'll take her with me, even though she's sitting in the car. It's the same concept. She's hanging out in the car. I will go in, get my groceries, come back out, and she is in the car. So now I've taken her to through a drive-through thing, like a ChickfilA or whatever.
Yep.
They got those 15 little kids outside with their little iPads, taking your orders and whatnot. Well, when I put Derby is quiet. There's no panting. You forget she's in there. It'd be one of those things where you accidentally leave your kid in the car. Like she's being quiet. But until that the little kid comes up, the little iPad to the window, and I roll down the window, and all of a sudden from right here comes this massive pure bloodline showline German Shepherd bark, right inches from my head, and scares the living crap out of these kids because they didn't see it coming. The windows are dark. They can't see this dog back there. Dog's got a black face and scares the living crap out of them. And then I'm like, I got to turn around and get her to be quiet. So I haven't taught her car etiquette just yet.
Kennel pride, bro.
Exactly.
But here's the thing, CJ, right? If you've got a spare kennel, like Duco loves riding in the car. He's got no problem getting in the kennel.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've got a car or SUV or whatever, but for the truck, he rides in the back seat. But if we're rolling the SUV, if the kennel's in there, man, he is going into that kennel just as happy as, anything else.
Only challenge would be, I think she'd still bark at him. So to me, she's great in the car. It's just that she's going to bark when that person comes up. So I work with her on.
You got to anticipate. You got to forecast that shit, because I know when Grace is going to bark when a UPS guy comes up. Yeah. So if I see the UPS guy coming up, I'll prep the battlefield. I go, hey, don't go freaking back shit. There's a UPS guy coming up. And I'll kind of hang out with her. I'll let her growl. Let the hackles come up, and I'll say, all right, good job. Because I don't want to dissuade her from barking if somebody comes up either. But I don't want her to freaking go batshit, because then Gretchen starts barking. And Gretchen has no idea what she's barking at. None whatsoever. She's looking the other direction. But because Grace is vociferous, man.
I think that's spot on, Mac. Just for you, CJ, if you're going back to the drive-through, in that point of you're going to make contact, whatever her quiet command is, or, leave it, or whatever the case may be, start preemptive telling her that.
Yeah, well, that's what I have to do now. I'm doing the same like with Mac just suggested, because we get a lot of delivery people and whatnot. There's a lot of times I don't see them coming. You know what I mean? So, but she can hear them. So it's like she was getting all upset the other day. I'm like, what in the world are you so upset about? And like the mail person had driven up to the door of my garage door. I didn't hear it, but she did. And so she starts getting antsy. So yeah, it's the preemptive thing. But I tell the story and the Chick-fil-A thing because of when it first happened. When I found out I had to be preemptive, holy crap. Because it startled me as much as I just didn't expect it. I didn't think she'd be all that upset about it. But yeah, I don't certainly want to dissuade her guarding of the house. So there's certain things where I'm working on a lot of training indoors, which is, I think, is just as critical as getting. A lot of people just want to get them to walk because their behavior may be okay indoors. They think it's outdoors they need to deal with, but no, it's indoors too. So place is a big deal. So I've got a raised dog bed upstairs. I got one downstairs. So that's where she's got to go. Somebody comes to the house, that's where she's got to go. And she's going to start getting upset when they do. But we take her to place. She's got to go down. So she understands when that posture is happening, no, you're not in charge of answering the door. I'm in charge of answering the door. Thank you for what you did, but, I'll take it from here kind of thing. So that's a big deal, of course, when you got your dog begging when everybody's sitting down to eat dinner and they just got to give you that stare, place for that sort of stuff. And so yeah, it's just kind of helping to manage life. And I grew up with dogs. I think most people did. We didn't live this way. You know what I mean? Your dog could sit, maybe pop a little kibble off of its nose into its mouth, or if you were lucky and your dog was really badass, it could roll over or play dead. That was the extent of it. That's when you thought a dog was trained, until you got older and you were the dog owner. You weren't just the kid in the house. You were the dog owner. And now you're like, okay, but then there's the other aspect. When I got the German Shepherd, and you can go online, my daughter did, and traced my dog's lineage, because her full name is Derby von Givenhouse. So it's from a good friend of mine who is a German Shepherd breeder. And so you can trace Derby's bloodline all the way back to the end of the 19th century when they first started with breeding these shepherds. So she's about as pure German shepherd as you can possibly get. So you get the blessing and the curse with that. But when I got the dog, the thing that hit me was, do I have what it takes? Do I have what it takes to give this dog what it needs? Because, like, you said at the outset, Rick, people see these videos and they hear about these, and they see the fur missile and all this cool stuff, and they think, oh, I want to look badass. So not only am I going to have a oversized truck, but I'm going to have a, Belgian Malinois, anything I can to compensate for my 3-inch penis. I'm going to get all of these things. But then they don't realize, what these breeds, they're bred for a specific reason. They're not bred so you can look badass. They're bred to do very real things. And so the breeds demand something out of you. And so the challenge to me is, okay, am I ready to step up my game and be who I need to be for this dog? Yeah, the behavior training, yeah, all the other stuff goes with it. But it was a challenge to me. Can I master this animal? Not to impress people, but because I can't live with myself if I don't.
Yeah. And you bring up a good point, CJ, right?
Because I got a boogie.
Pat Mack's going to take off, ladies and gentlemen. He's got to do a virtual shot show.
Yep.
So, buddy,
good,
thank you for
good
being
chatting with you guys.
Good seeing you, Pat.
All right. Same.
Talk to you soon.
Later.
Pat. Peace.
All right.
Go ahead, Rick.
No, but just like you were saying, even with us, right? So we would train these dogs every single day, all day long. You'd leave them in the kennel for the weekend. And what do you think you got out Monday morning? A train wreck. Because he'd been cooped up all weekend.
Right.
Now, granted, you might have kennel duty or something, come in, take your dog out, spend a little bit of time with them. But still, just 2 days. God forbid it was a 4-day weekend. You're going to sit there and go, all right, first thing Tuesday morning, what are we doing? Obedience. Get his mind right. It's like, hey, let's get you straightened out, because they've been, cooped up and they need to get out and go. And I think that's the biggest thing. Even on the training side, I get it. You're going to pick as the dog owner what you want your dog to do.
Yeah.
But I would say this across the board. If you can at least just exercise your dog, a simple thing, take them out for a walk, get them to heel next to your side so they're not being a nuisance, because that would be the biggest thing. People would come to me and go, hey man, how can I get my dog to heel? How can I get him to heel? So, are you doing this, this, and this? And like, nope. Well, there you have it.
Yeah.
So it's establishing that. But again, like Pat was saying, he doesn't care if they're on the couch. I don't care if Duke goes on the couch.
Right, man.
But if you're a person that goes, nope, the dog's not on the couch, then just stick with those rules. And I think that's the biggest thing, is when you start letting up on that, on your consistency. Well, I'll just let him go today, but not tomorrow, or getting his ass tomorrow because he's on there. No.
Yeah.
Pick what you're going to do. If he's going to have couch privileges, cool. If it's going to be a privilege, instill a command that says, hey, couch or whatever you're going to use, boom. He knows he can get up there. Yep. Hang out. Time to get down, go from there.
Yeah. I think it's like Mac was mentioning earlier when he was talking about coming home and finding things chewed up and whatever, you want to get mad, of course, but then you realize, no, it's my fault. Even though, like I described when Derby went after those dogs, even though I missed it, I was doing the right thing. I checked her body language. I was just a little slow on the trigger. You know what I mean? Just a millisecond faster and I'd have gotten it. But it was the right approach to take. But it's still my fault. I was looking at the body language, but because she had done so well before, I wasn't nipping it as quick. I'm thinking, well, she's down. She's in a down position. She's not going to, if she was on all fours and the tail's up and the ears are perked, then yeah, but she's down. She's been panting. I'm standing right on top of her. Nothing's going to happen. So it's like, well, no, she just showed you, yes, that, even though, she knows better, she's taught better, it doesn't matter. She's still a dog. She's being overwhelmed with stimulation. And just because I'm not overwhelmed by stimulation by the two dogs walking, 40 yards away. It doesn't bother me. I'm not bothered by any of it. For her, it's screaming loud, in her senses. And the prey drive that they have is so severe that, they, they will lose sight and of everything that they were told,
But,
and they're gone in a minute, man.
but I think the part that you learn, the key takeaway for you is now you know.
Yeah.
So now you see those dogs off at a distance. Maybe she does, maybe she doesn't. Now you just, preempt it with
Right.
either off command, leave it, whatever. And she might be, what's he talking about? Then if she does catch him, oh. And to me, it's just to reinforce,
Right.
because you got some hardcore people that go, you give the dog the command once. Yes, I agree. Trust me. I don't want to sit there and tell you, down 20 times.
Right.
Tell you down, you go down. But when they're in the down position, can I not just instill that command when
Right.
you start seeing potential behavior that might, cause them to do something I don't want them to,
Right.
simple down or off or whatever
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
commanding.
Yeah. Because what that also does is it breaks their focus. It
Mhm.
interrupts that. I love the expression loading, because it's something, you know, messing with computers that I, understand. When you see the green bar of the of the file uploading, think about
Yep.
that's what is happening to your dog. The more your dog sits there and stares at whatever it's staring at,
Mhm.
it's that green line is moving, that file is uploading. And when it gets to the
Sure.
full, that dog doesn't know your name or anybody's name. It is in full animalistic beast mode, and it is going for what it's going for. But you
Mhm.
can stop the upload, right? You
Sure.
can hit cancel, you can hit pause, you can stop that upload.
Yep.
And so the simple command, like, like if I give her a command to be down or place or stay or whatever, I'll say, good stay. Good stay,
Mhm.
Derby. Good stay, Derby.
Yep.
And she just turns up to look at you because you're talking to her.
Yep.
And in reference to talking, I mean, we all do it, but again, part of that humanization thing where, you know, we do it knowing that they don't understand the sentences that that we're throwing at them, but a lot of people do it thinking that they do understand the sentences that you're giving. And when other family members and things are using different terminology, like you said earlier, it causes confusion for the dog, doesn't it?
Sure. And here's the thing. As long as you stick with whatever your ritual is going to be, I don't care whether you're speaking English, Dutch, German, Czech, Swahili, pick your language. It doesn't matter. You just have to be consistent.
Right.
So I'll give you a prime example, like with Duco. So Duco had some baggage with his Dutch commands, the way that he was treated over in the Netherlands. You've got some trash that came with him. Okay. We opted to go for a couple of your commands. I'm going to go with German. Did he speak German? Nope. But you you frame it in a way where this is a new command for you, close to what you had, but again, it's the same context, the same delivery.
Right.
That's what they're understanding.
Right.
It's the influx in the voice. It's however you're doing stuff.
Yeah.
And then, oh, by the way, I'm going to start doing, hand and arm signals, or just a simple thing like I'll do a double tap on my leg, and Duke knows, hey, that means come heel to my side.
Right.
Because I'm not always in a place where I can give him a verbal command, nor do I want to,
Right.
but I still need to communicate to my dog. And that's the part people need to understand. It's not always a verbal communication. I
Right.
can use tap on the side of my leg, audible. He hears that. Yep. He's going to, respond to that command. I can give him a hand and arm signal, so a straight hand out, that's his stay.
Right.
Hold where you're at, because I may not want to go stay. Boom. He sees the hand. Yep. And now I'm the eye of the storm where he's focused on me.
Right.
And you'll see he'll be pointing this direction. If I'm moving, what's that head doing? It's tracking.
Right.
Why? Because he's looking for what's the next command. Is
Right.
he going to release me, send me, come to me, whatever? So it's all just part of that dog training. People just have to be, savvy. What do they need to do? And does everyone need to have hand and arm signals? It's up to you. If you want to, great. If you don't, that's fine. Do you need an audible leg tap? If you want to, that's fine.
Right.
But just understand, don't always limit yourself and think that it has to be verbal. You can do nonverbal communication as long as it's consistent, as long as the dog understands. That's the
Yeah.
key part.
Yeah. And this concept of consistency, like you said, when you leave your dog for the weekend or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
you have to kind of reset the dog. And again, because we think, okay, it's gonna like my kid. They're going to remember. done this 1,000 times. Well, it's not an issue of remembering. It's just an issue. They are dogs. Their minds work differently. They are in the moment. Again, existential. So they're in the moment. And like when I take my dog out, if I'm going to go for a walk or whatever, I will always start with just a simple recall type stuff, just kind of walking in figure eights and that kind of thing. Nothing crazy. I'm not trying to keep them like, 3 inches, the right shoulder from my left knee, nothing like that. I'm keeping them close, but I'm doing the turns, I'm doing whatever. And just because I want her to be daddy centered, her world should be a daddy centered life, or mommy centered, whoever you are.
Sure.
And I want her to live that way. And so that when she's out and about in the world, she's checking in with dad. Okay. That's the basic. Now, again, outside stimulation can change the dynamics of that, which is why the consistency now is so damn important. So if you just go out, if you put a harness on a dog, I don't use a harness myself, but if if my dog was, I think my dog trained now, I could use a harness and she'd be okay. But for a lot of people who haven't trained their dog, that harness is, you're just basically a sled at that point.
You're training your dog to pull.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. The dog harness, in my opinion, is the best gimmick going, where people think if I put this harness on, I'm going to somehow have better control of my dog.
And won't hurt him.
Furthest thing from the truth. So it's funny because, again, for the viewers, they get to see, but that,
Right.
Basically your choke chain, that's your number one moneymaker.
Oh yeah.
That to me, that's what's going to give you control. And you're going to sit there and go, oh, you can't control a dog with a collar. I most certainly can.
Oh, you can.
Because this gives me versatility. Yep. I've got my live end, which kind of zips along, and you kind of hear that audible. Trust me, that thing zinging and a little snap, it'll get their attention. Or if you hook it to the other side, then it's a dead ring, and it just acts like a regular call that you're just pulling around.
Right.
But you've got to have that routine. So for me, we pretty much go out, command a free dog, and then go take a break.
Yeah.
I expect nothing of you except go use the bathroom, get rid of your business. Yep, you're all good. Okay. Then from there, I'm going to give him a foost, which is his heel command. Now we're going to go do whatever it is we're doing.
Yeah.
And that's how you just start that routine, or however it is you want to shape it. It doesn't matter. But like you said, when you're not telling him anything, how many pet owners have you seen just call the dog's name? Call him.
Yeah.
And I'm just waiting, because I'm kind of chuckling going, and now what? Because the dog's like, yep, that's me.
That's right.
And they're like, he's running further. You've told him nothing.
You told him nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah. It's not your kid. It's not your kid.
No.
Yeah, so when I'll start, after I've done some recall stuff, I'll just say, Derby heel. Right. Derby down. Sometimes I just say sit, but I'll often use her name. But it's, the idea is, again, just to create that focus, on me. And she's cool with that. Otherwise she will, sniff everything, look at everything. And that's not all the time bad, but you don't want your dog sniffing the whole time. You don't want them, because they're not going to obey. They're not going to follow along. So typically, as I'm walking, I'm trying to walk that balance in between, letting her still enjoy this. I don't want her to walk like a competition Malinois who's, looking up at the owner's face. That's all show. You don't want that. I don't care if she gets in between my legs and bridges or any of that other. I don't care. I want her to heal. I want her to, not be reactive to other people, and have her enjoy a dog's life. Yep. But there's still a lot of cool stuff that you can do, with that. You could get your dog off leash. You could do all kinds of cool stuff, and that's great to have. But it does take that work, and it does take that you understand how the dog processes. Communication is everything. And people think it's just verbal. That leash is as much communication as anything else.
Yep.
Right. Can you talk about that? Just what leash pressure and those sorts of things as a way to communicate?
Yeah. So really, when you're looking, ideally for me, when I'm looking at somebody, and let's just use the heel of the walk, for example, when you're sitting there walking, and it's funny, I've got all these little some things along. People can see, right? So, if this is hooked to the dog, and basically you've got where that dog's walking next to you,
right,
and the leash is basically dangling low, I'm putting no pressure on that dog. That dog is doing exactly what I want. It's when that leash starts to do one of these, and gets taunt.
Yeah.
Now, if I'm doing one of these, I'm basically pulling that dog.
Right.
He's doing what he wants, and I'm more or less just muscling along.
Right.
And the thing is, like you said, it's all about that clear communication. So can I be walking at a heel and then mid-walk go free dog, and the dog just, can kind of go sniff, do whatever he wants, take a break? Absolutely. Can I reel him back in to sit there and go, hey, I want you at a heel? Yep, I sure can. And it should be kind of that balance going back and forth. Because again, like you said, I don't always want to sit there and have that dog hardcore, we're just running obedience all the time. Let him be a dog.
Yeah.
And know that, hey, typically I know the first part out of the gate, am I going to be as hard? Nope. Because I gave him a break. But man, especially if you're like you're walking in a neighborhood, how many other dogs have sat there and whizzed on that mailbox?
Yeah.
Well, what's your dog want to do? He wants to mark it. Now, can you sit there and go, I don't want that behavior? Yep, you can. A good correction on the leash. Nope, leave it. Give him the command of your heel and keep moving. Yep, you can break that.
Right.
But again, sometimes you just want to sit there and go, yeah, buddy, go mark your territory. Go be a dog. Knock yourself out.
That's right.
So,
yeah, because you go out to the park, Rick, and you see people, and usually they have the harnesses on, so the people are sleds. The dogs are just because again, guys, the harness is going around the torso, the front of the chest, and dogs love to pull. Like you get put that on a husky or something, they're going to pull you. That's what that means. So there's nothing disciplinary about it. You can't correct with a harness. You can only correct with some kind of collar. And where the dog's head goes, right, is going to determine direction. You can't do that with a harness. It has to be something around the neck. But the other thing is, like Rick was saying, is if you're able to walk, which the goal is to walk with her not feeling any leash pressure, no tension, as he was talking about. When the thing goes taut, that means she's pulling, which also means then she now there's no communication through the leash.
No,
because you can't correct her. You think correcting her is just pull like a tug of war instead of a pop. You can't pop the leash without there's some slack.
It comes down to this too, CJ, right? So like you're saying, so if I've got, it on there, and all of a sudden, all I'm doing here is now I'm basically just constricting the dog's ability to breathe. I've got everything taunt, and it's like, what are you getting out of it? Right. So now the correction it becomes a pulling game, where you hear the dog going, no, have it on there where, it's loose, where if I'm going to sit there and do a snap, I'm getting that correction on there.
Right.
And again, people have to understand, you see a lot of times the correction comes with no command. So for example, cruising along, doing whatever. And let's say I don't want them sniffing the pole. Bam, they'll sit there and crack on the dog's neck. And you're like, dog's like, what was that for?
Mm-hmm.
You've got to give the dog a command. It goes back to, just calling the dog's name. Okay, now what? If you want to use the name, that's fine. Hey, Duco, leave it. If he starts to go that way, boom. A good stern correction. I'm not giving him a bunch of little tugs on the collar. He's getting a good stern correction. Go, oh, he means business. Yep, roger that. Because I don't want to sit there and just bing, 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 kind of finger pulling. I want to go, boom, here's one, and we're done. Oh, I've communicated. That's not the behavior I'm looking for. Roger that, Dad. Check in. Yep, we're going about our business, and off we go.
And that's so important what you just said, because what people can end up doing, Rick, is tainting the command with when they pop that leash.
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't want the heel command to be a punishment.
No.
You get a punishment if you don't obey the heel command.
Yep.
So you don't go heel and yank the leash. You say, Duco, heel. If Duco doesn't heel, then Duco gets a pop.
Yep.
And then when Duco comes back, good, yes, good dog, good. And you keep moving down the road. So she gets, or he gets the idea of praise.
Sure.
And, we're making a big deal. So when I walk my dog, Rick, I don't wear headphones or, anything like that. I'm engaging with her oftentimes. We're not doing it. She's walking fine. Everything's great. And I'm still going, good girl, good girl.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just a constant affirmation. And it's not hard to do. It's enjoyable to do. It's like, I'm in the will of God.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Enjoy the moment, right? And go, everyone's got to look at, because the heel is the biggest thing I see people having problems with. And you go, where's that window that you're happy with? So for me, I was good basically shoulder to shoulder with Duco. As long as he was somewhere in there, fine. A lot of times he's making leg contact just because that's what he's used to. I'm fine with that as well.
Right.
But when I start seeing him creep a little bit,
Mhm.
just a little, oh, that's not what I'm looking for. Or if he's right in that window, perfect spot, yabraf, good boy, yabraf.
Yeah.
And you just praise it up and you make it an enjoyable routine.
Right.
It's the dog owner that's out there, two hands being drug around,
Right.
that you're going, that doesn't look fun.
Mm-mm.
So just have a good time with it. Enjoy your dog. And trust me, they enjoy doing that stuff. They want to, they want to please you. They want to have a good time.
Right.
And just little simple, like you said, the little changes in the index in your voice. Ja, brav.
Yeah.
Super.
Yeah.
And granted, all my stuff was German-esque because yes, he was a European dog.
Right.
Still wore the stars and stripes. But yeah, I mean, this is ein fantastisches Hunde. Ja, brav. Does he really go? Yeah, is he really? It's just the tone and the way it comes off.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's like you do with your kids, right? When you're trying to get the little ones are in the high chair and you're trying to get them to eat broccoli. They don't want to eat the broccoli or the peas or the string beans or whatever. And so when they finally do, you don't just brush it off casually. No.
It's a big
deal, right? We are marking that behavior. And the wonderful thing about this, Rick, is that this is so applicable to ourselves.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Was that something that you began to see early on once you started working with dogs? Like, man, I could use this on myself.
Totally. I mean, because you think about it, right? It's all about that consistency. And a lot of times what we find ourselves is if we become creatures of habit, granted there's pros and cons to it, but if you stay on that kind of habitual trail going, yep, hey, I've got to do this. I've got to do that. And now you add the dog piece to it. So it's like, okay, let's say I want to be lazy today. Man, I really don't want to go run. I got to go run. Why? Because I've got this four-legged beast that I got to make sure that's maintaining his fitness as well. So yeah, it gets you out there doing business. But no, absolutely. I mean, the similarities between, canine and human, 100%. And
the consistency and correction thing, when I talk a lot about the mind and in my personal development stuff. And I would always use the allusion to dog training because like you were alluding to, you're not letting the dog, you're never going to get a dog to walk with you in a heel if you let it walk off and sniff the flowers for, 20 seconds and then pull it back. You have to get it as soon as it starts to veer off, like you were talking about, right?
Yep.
Just simple things like that. And then a little leash pressure brings them back in. Well, our minds are like that. For people who tend to worry or go off into, thinking about what other people said about them or speculation or anxiousness or stressed or all these sorts of things, that you can check your mind, much like you pull the leash on a dog, right? Your mind starts to go, not going to think about that. Not going to do that, right? Teaching those habits, and you got to stay consistent because the mind left to itself is going to, do just like what the dog does. So that's what meditation and things like that become ways to, like recall training, just kind of getting your mind back into that. All right, we got to stay focused. We can't let all the worry and the concerns of this world interfere with the work that we've got to do. We've got to stay focused on the project at hand. Same thing with the dog. And I think, when we see obedient dogs and we just think this has got to be too hard. It's not that hard, is it, Rick?
No, it's just putting the time in and being consistent. That's the biggest thing. And the consistency has to be amongst the whole family. So whoever's going to handle that dog, trust me, do my kids speak Dutch to Duco? 100% they do. Does my wife? She's probably my wild card out of the group, but no, she does. But the thing is, you have to train them as well to go, this is the command we're doing. And am I saying you got to teach them Dutch or German or what? Nope. Just come up with what's the same. So is it lay down? Is it off? Is it whatever? It doesn't matter, but be consistent so everyone knows that. You brought up, with the dinner table. Man, as soon as one person does the feed, okay? Yeah. So if you come to my house, where does Duco go to? My wife. Why? Because she slips him the treats. And she's dog, like, man. She's like, can you get your dog? I'm like, nope. I was like, you brought it on. He knows. It's like, he's breathing and drooling on me. Yep. Because he knows you have in essence trained him that you're going to sit there and give him some type of reward. Yeah. So a lot of that behavior can be, stopped, but people just have to be consistent with it.
If you were faced, let's say, even though it's not necessarily the dogs that you've worked with, but if you're sitting there and you're talking to somebody and they've got a little Chihuahua, and they, how Chihuahuas are, they're sitting on mama's lap. You get too close to mama, they act like they're going to, rip your fingers off. And now, of course, I think, owners empower these dogs because they like the fact that they're, she loves her mama or whatever they say, what are you going to tell somebody like that to deal with that dog?
Well, number one, if it's the behavior they don't want, and that's got to be the key thing, because you got some people that want some, let's just say mean animals. But in that case, you've got to communicate to that dog that that's not the behavior you're looking for. Can I do something as easy as this? If I'm sitting there with my little Chihuahua and CJ's coming up and he's going to start showing teeth, okay, he's going to get a verbal, and he's probably going to get the palm of my hand on top of his head, to put a little added pressure. Go, no, that's not the behavior I'm looking for.
Right.
Now, if he starts to shape where, hey, CJ comes up and he's not showing any teeth, what am I going to do as well? Communicate.
Him.
Good boy.
Yep.
Yeah, bruv. Yep. If, CJ gets, let's say 2 feet closer and them teeth start to raise, or nope. If he shuts it off, fine. If he goes a little more aggressive, boom, he might get another pop.
Right.
To go, that's not what we're looking for.
Right. Right.
And then is it going to take time? Sure.
Yeah.
But, people have to understand they set dogs up for failure and don't even realize it.
Right.
So look at these puppy pee pads. What are you doing?
Right.
You're training your dog to pee in the house.
Yeah.
And people go, I don't know why the dog pees in the house. Do you ever use pee pads? Yep. Well, there you have it.
Yeah.
Open the door, let the dog out. And I get it. You may not have a fenced backyard. Well, you know what? Go put your shoes on, go put the dog on a leash, go out and go take a break. Yep. Especially as a puppy. You got to be burning him, every couple hours, getting him outside. And then give him that command. Hey, go take a break. Mm-hmm. Let them know what you want to do. We're just not out here sniffing the roses, running around. Nope. Right. Take a break. Go to the bathroom, whatever it is. So,
well, I think, again, it goes back to what you said at the outset, which is, why did you get this dog? Whether it is a Chihuahua, a lab, puppy, or whatever, why did you get this dog?
Yeah.
If you weren't ready to embrace the suck.
Yeah.
Because that's what it, and you got to have that challenge to say, as we said earlier, that there's a glory to this as a dog owner, to train it and to bring it up and to develop it, to master and to govern it, because we want to do that with everything in the world, right? Sure. We want our neighborhoods to look good. We want to have a great transportation system. We want to have a great sanitation system. We want our plumbing to work. We want kids to do great in school and the home to look great. Everything takes cultivation and diligence. You can't deal in life with a slack hand.
Yeah. But people also have to understand that not all dogs are the same.
Right.
So, here's the thing. Yep. Our dogs have very high prey drive. So they're going to go chase a ball.
Right.
Bring that ball back. You got some dogs that don't have it and they're not going to do it.
Right.
And people are like, my dog won't fetch. Hey man, some dogs don't hunt. I mean, I don't mean to sound mean, but that's just the truth of the matter. And you've got to understand, okay, cool. He doesn't do that. Is there still other things that I can do with him? 100%.
Yeah.
But if I'm looking to do a quick energy burn, throwing a ball, that means nothing to that dog. He doesn't care.
Right.
So you might need to look at something else.
Yeah. Dogs have motive. You just got to sometimes find what that is. Some dogs don't have a food motivation necessarily, and they just, you like you did, could give them some deprivation and they'll they'll have a little bit more motive. But some dogs are just like, they're more driven for the food, whereas others may just want a toy. The toy
Yeah.
is there, and again, we don't look at these things for what they are. If you watch, for example, the way the dogs operate on like trains, and take them around sniffing for stuff or whatever, we think, oh, look at that cool dog going to sniff out drugs. What a righteous, he's looking for a toy. He's in
The
his
reward. Yeah.
yeah, in his mind, it's a game. This is a
Yep.
game, and it's going to be a reward, just as if he was searching for a toy.
Yeah.
And that's that's the reality, but they're not people.
Nope.
And which is a big problem, but also we're not dogs. So it's those two confusing points that I think hurt people in the long run.
But I think if they take this away, you're that dog's advocate.
Yeah.
And that's what people need to understand. I got it. Can I get in a Duco's mind and know exactly what that dog's thinking? We're about 99%. We're almost all the way. No, just joking. But the point being is you're that dog's advocate.
Yeah.
Right. So there's some, places where you can see better. So like, for example, out at the dog park,
right.
Derby might be a little bit tired. She doesn't quite see that dog. You see that, boom, you're automatically pumping her some information to preempt some possible behavior.
Right.
Hey, I'm walking up, he's looking over here, doesn't quite see whatever it is to the front there that might cause a distraction, drama issue. I can prevent that, kind of cut things off. And I think if people start doing that, then things become easy. Before we go out, am I going to sit there and drop the hammer on work and obedience? Nope. Go take your break, get your peas, your poops, whatever it is you need to do. Okay, cool. Now let's go do business. Because I've seen it where guys don't. And I mean, the dog's been in the box for however long. Now you're trying to do something obedient, and the dog's, wanting to take a squirt or take a dump and sitting there putting pressure on him. It's like, dude, he's got to go to the bathroom, man. You didn't give him a break.
Right.
Come on, dummy.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah.
So to sum this all up, Rick, if you're going to leave somebody with just a few things that they've never encountered a conversation like this, they don't know anything about that, but they're like, hey, I hear what you guys are saying. I need to start working with my dog. What are just the simple things that you would send somebody away with that would start making a difference?
Be consistent and have clear verbiage that you're communicating to that dog. So understand, how am I communicating to him? Stick with whatever that verbiage is. Be clear, be concise, and be consistent.
Yeah.
That's got to be the key to success.
Yeah. And if, a lot of the terms that Rick uses outside of the Dutch and German stuff, which is just Dutch and German versions of the same thing.
Sure.
But I think a lot of the language is already there, and you can learn that, like heel, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of a better word. Heel, sit, can't think of a better word. Down, things like that. Come, you can say off or leave it or what have you, as far as. But I think what people don't think that they can go that broad with, that level of command. You can. Your dog can understand all of that.
Yeah. So I'll put it in this context. So like with Duco, when I tell him Fust is his heel in German. Right. When we're walking. Fust is basically his sit command next to me. So I've got one command that double dips. So I'm not doing, multi different verbiage. One word, all encompassing. Fust, hey, we're walking. Fust, you're sitting there. And it's all still a heel type command.
So is she understanding the difference based on what your body position is when she's getting the command?
Yeah, obviously if I'm standing still and it's a Fust, yeah, it's going to be a sit next to me.
Right.
If we're walking, and again, before I step off, I'm going to reinforce the Fust, right, because that's a heel and we're walking off.
Right.
Versus just stepping off going, free dog or Freihunden, but yeah, it's being clear and concise. And can I go Duco? Yep. Can I even wait for a little eye look and then give the command? Sure. Because it's driving the point home. I'm the eye of the storm. I want you to look to me. Right. Because how many times has Derby been sitting there staring at that ball, just staring? And Duco does it. And it's a waiting game. And that's the thing is you gotta be patient, right? Because I'm trying to teach a point. I'm not going to release you until that head turns. And I'm not looking for a quick, hey, Boom.
Right.
Can I go?
No.
Nope. Lock eyes,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and then
Right.
I'll give you the command that it's yours. So
Yeah. And like Rick said earlier, the very least that you can do, harness or not, the very least that you can do is to walk your dog.
mhm,
Is give your dog some exercise, because
exercise.
it will make all the difference in the world. Your dog does have this energy; it wants to spend it. That will
Yep.
make a tremendous difference. Just a walk every day. But then if you start there, then you can begin to layer in some of these other things to where your dog is staying with you, not just necessarily pulling you down the street. Because
Mhm,
most dogs are going to pull because they've never
mhm.
been trained to heel, so they're going to pull. It's just because they're more interested in moving forward and sniffing stuff than you are walking. So by nature, they're going to just be
Sure.
ahead of you. So if they're ahead of you, they can't see you.
Nope.
They don't know what you're doing, so you're obviously not in charge. You are just a walking pole that they're tethered to. That's all you are.
Just a weight
Again,
they're dragging.
yeah, better than nothing because your dog's getting exercise. But
Mhm.
our hope is that you'll go beyond that, because I think you'll find, again, not only will it make for a better experience when you're walking the dog, it'll be a better experience in totality, also inside your home. But again, as we said at the outset, that you'll experience the satisfaction which you should want. Doesn't come by television. Doesn't come. It comes by you mastering something and providing governorship for a real living thing
Yeah.
that loves you to death and wants to do what you say and wants to work and live its best life. And you get to be a vital part of that. And there's a tremendous set. Once you see your dog healing and going into a sit and waiting for you in a stay, and there's nothing to me. I love putting her in a stay. And what I'll do with her at the park is I'll get her in stay and I'll do 360s around her. I'll run. I'll act like I'm wanting her to chase me, but she's got to stay, and she'll stay. And I'll go
Yep.
far, far, and she's just a little black spot there. But it's the most precious thing in the world.
Sure.
Because as soon as she sees that hand clap or that come and they
Mhm,
break and they're running with all of that that's around them, they're
mhm.
running directly towards you. It
Sure.
is such a satisfying experience, man.
But just remember this, CJ, right? You've got to make sure that you're able to control the outcome. So what happens if, you step off, now she breaks,
Yeah, well, yeah, this is
because
post training.
right. But
Right,
but I'm saying during that training regimen, because
right.
sometimes there's some tasks that, again, if your dog's not e-collar conditioned, so I can't basically give them that correction from afar.
Yeah,
There's times where I might need somebody else to help. And
yeah,
this is where, hey, you can bring in some other family members that can help with what you're doing. So like with the stay, not that they're necessarily going to hold on to the leash because you might be kind of giving some information away what's up, but a simple foot on there. So if she does decide to break, boom, there's a correction because she's only going so far. Then she's getting, basically
right.
leash extension to the collar. Um, you know,
Yeah, I mean that's the way it was. When we started out, when I
yeah,
started out with her, because she wanted to. You start to walk away. She wants to go.
hmm,
She wants to go with
yep,
you. Now she
yeah,
stays. And
sure,
with e-collar, I could go a mile away and
hmm,
no, not actually that far, but pretty far, and
yeah,
still call her. But point being is it's such a sit is great. All of those things are great. It's great to get your dog to do these things,
hmm,
but to see them, watch you just
oh yeah,
as you take that distance
yep,
and they're waiting for you to give that command. That's what they're waiting for. They're not thinking about anything else in the moment.
mm-mm.
They want that command, and they're going to run full bore towards you.
Oh yeah,
And
yep,
look, well, who cares about you? I mean, but to them, that's
you're
great.
everything.
That's
Yeah,
everything. And
yep,
it's such a, it's precious is the only word I can use for it. It's just such a great thing. And I guess if you could sum up all of this, Rick, you'd say it's really about establishing a relationship with your dog.
yeah. And to take it a step further, so like for me, with Duco is an extension of me. He is very much part of me. Just because of our, obviously our relationship, our experiences, that's how deep that relationship goes with that dog. I
Mhm.
look at he is an extension of me.
Yeah.
When I would cast him on the battlefield and he would go out there, whatever he was doing, that's an extension of me. You know, the time, effort, everything I put in to get him to do those tasks to save guys' lives, that's an extension of me.
Yeah.
Am I saying that your average pet owner has to go to that extreme? Nope. But man, when you get to that point, what a place to be at.
Yeah, it is. It's very gratifying. And I think, you know, if more and more people did adapt this, and anybody listening to this particular podcast feels inspired or motivated and takes action, it's going to enhance your life. It's going to enhance your dog's life. It's going to spread, and we won't see dogs being destroyed, you know, or put down for really handler issues, owner issues. Most dogs being put down, it's behavioral stuff, but all behavioral stuff that literally, Rick, could be fixed. I mean, significant, maybe not fixed permanently, but you would see significant changes in an afternoon. We're not talking about, I mean, dogs respond really, really quickly to the proper training. You could see people bring in their dogs to a trainer's, you know, studio or whatever, and that dog is, you know, chomping and barking and ready to get at that trainer. If that, you know, so that person, that owner's holding that leash, and that trainer's just standing there completely unmoved because he knows what this dog really wants. And so the ladies, you know, say, my dog's aggressive. I don't think it's aggressive. And so it, you know, they stay for a little bit, and he or she may reach over and grab the leash from the owner. And within a few minutes, has got the dog healing, walking around the whatever, you know, the owner is just bug eye, can't figure out how in the hell this just happened. And he's, you know, trying to explain that your dog is not aggressive. If your dog was aggressive, your dog would have ate me alive. Wasn't trying to do that. Your dog has fear, your dog has insecurity, your dog has this, your dog has that. You interpret it as aggressive because they're manifesting it in, you know, lunging and barking. And so people think this dog is too aggressive, too much for me to handle. I'm taking it down and have it put down. Something that could have been fixed in less than a day.
Sure. But again, part of it is just, it's number one, it's that time. It's the, you know, consistency of actually doing that. And unfortunately, it's ignorance. So, you know, one other thing I want to touch on too, that I think a lot of people miss, and I kind of have changed my philosophy, especially towards the working dog side, but you're starting to see more of a push of CBD on humans, but we're missing kind of the mark, I think, on our canine side. And not so much for the properties of, yes, you've got some dogs that have anxiety and all this other stuff, and it could be beneficial there. But really, like for Duke, what we're using CBD for him is, number one, some pain management, because obviously, you know, with that amputation. But then number two, it's got great properties, you know, for their joints and, you know, inflammation. So especially if you're running these dogs hard, working them hard, stuff like that, man, you know, a little bit of CBD just helps with that inflammation, so that now we're not busting them up so much. So even, you know, even as Duke started getting older, I wouldn't let him jump out of the truck. I would, you know, catch him, set him down. Again, just trying to add to longevity. So that's my job as the owner handler, to go, being his advocate, what can I do to help prolong? So just, you know, food for thought for people out there is there's all kinds of stuff. And I'm not a big, what's that stuff called? Snake elixir, snake oil doctor, you know, but I honestly would say, snake oil salesman, you know, but honestly, I think there's huge benefits to CBD in the canines that we haven't quite totally understand, but do some research on it. And
how are you delivering it to? Are you doing it through pill or liquid in the food or something like that?
So we can do it a couple different ways, because through his surgery, we've had all kinds of people, you know, donate different kind of CBD stuff. So I've got one, it's actually a CBD treat. So I give it to him with his feeds in the morning. So he gets his Dasequin, you know, which is for his joints also. And then he's getting, you know, CBD on board that way. We've done food direct, or a CBD direct on his food. I'll be an honest broker, different brands out there, different tastes. So if you've got a dog that, you know, you can tell it's like, man, this just isn't palatable to them, what you can do is actually put it in a pill pocket and then just launch it to them via pill pocket form. So a bunch of different ways to deliver. I've tried the water one as well. Problem is, that's a lot of, you got to, number one, hope they're thirsty and want to drink.
Right.
In order to get that on board.
Get
But
all the
usually,
way inside.
yeah, the food, either the actual treat itself, or, if you're going to go dropper because they don't like the taste, pill pocket, and gets it on board. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you said that too, because with the shepherd, I don't let her get on anything high and jump down or something like that, just because for what you just said, it's just the longevity of the dog. Their joints are working against them. Yeah, everybody tells you that when you get a shepherd too. The joints, the hips or whatever. It's like, okay, I know.
Yeah, but the hip dysplasia will pretty much show itself, so like in my case with Duco, just so people are kind of tracking that whole thing, I didn't think for a moment he had osteosarcoma. I thought what wound up happening, because we've got hardwood floors, he was kind of coming around the couch a little hot one day, slipped, kind of, fell on that hind quarter. I thought he just kind of busted himself up a little bit, no big deal. He'll shake it off. And, went a couple weeks, it's like, hey man, this thing's not getting better. What's going on? And then you kind of notice, hey, he wasn't full weight bearing on that leg. So I'm thinking to me, I know his hips are good. I'm thinking, hey, he tore his ACL. And literally the vet did a quick, palpitation on him. And this is the part that still kills me today. She could feel the mass that I couldn't. I mean, I've had this dog since, 2012. Trust me, I know every ounce of this freaking dog. And I felt his leg. I didn't feel nothing. And she was like, she's like, I think it's this. Let's go take an x-ray. Yep, there's the mass. And then, of course, that started the whole process down there. But I say for, people that have working dogs, if you see your dog, show any type of signs of, hey, having some type of, gimpness to one of their limbs, man, get it checked out.
Yeah.
So, and that way, I don't wish osteosarcoma on anybody. And I didn't realize that it was that prevalent, but I guess it's pretty prevalent in the working dog breed. So just food for thought for people.
Yeah. No, great information. Rick, I'm so glad you did this with us today. I just knew when I talked to you the other day, I just, this will make such a great episode. Like I said, wanted to, dedicate the whole thing to this, not do the other stuff we do on the podcast. Sure. So this was unplanned, guys, but I hope it was really, really helpful. And Rick, I'm so glad that you were the one to have the conversation with. But I want people to follow you. The other reason why I had Rick on is because I really, really want people to discover more about what you do and, how they can benefit from, because we have in the squad, for example, people come up and they'll say, hey, all Max, since this was a question asked the other day, hey, all Max courses are booked for 2021. Where do I go? Just go talk to Rick Hogg. Go talk to Rick Hogg. So your name constantly comes up, amongst, people looking for that kind of training. So give us the rundown. What do you offer? What do you do? How do we want people to connect with you?
Yeah. So really, first and foremost, you guys can go to warhogg.com, warhogg.com. Sign up for our newsletter, because that's the easiest way to get clear, concise info to you. So yeah, we offer open enrollment classes. If guys are interested and they want private classes, or if you have a group of guys, because a lot of people are starting to lean towards, hey, my family and another close family, we want to get, firearms training. Boom. Okay. So versus trying to, get into a class where maybe they can get one or two in, they just go, hey, can you set up a training event? And yeah, we can easily do that. So warhogg.com is the easiest way to get in touch. On Instagram, Warhogg Tactical. We've got videos out on YouTube, Warhogg Tactical as well, Facebook, Warhogg Tactical. So Warhogg Tactical is pretty much the way to get to everything. Warhogg.com is the website. That's where we'll, class registration for open enrollments, but we'll also do private classes if people are interested in that as well. So just reach out.
Got your own podcast.
Yep. On the Range podcast with Mark Kelly, Kelly Defense. And don't forget that Duco's got his socials as well. So War Dog with 2 G's. So WARDOGG. Duco is DUCO. So we got him on Instagram. Facebook, I had to go with K9 Duco because Facebook didn't like War Dog. I thought it was offensive or something. So yeah.
It's a heavy metal band, right?
Yeah.
So connect with Rick, and as he mentioned, get on the email list. That may sound archaic to you, but In fact, our last conversation we had, which led to this podcast today, was a lot about email, because that's something we're also doing as well. In light of the big tech, weirdness and unpredictability right now, guys, we don't know what's coming, what's going to change. And so what's important for any of you wannabe social media influencers out there is to own as much of your digital real estate as you possibly can. And bear in mind that it's great to have the Instagrams and Facebooks and YouTubes and all of that. It's great. They really are great. Yeah, there's a lot of stupid stuff on there. We get that. But you're reaching people in a way you never could before for free. So, but the problem is that's rented space. And that landlord can change the rules or shut you down, evict you, whatever they want, whenever they want. And we don't know what's going to tick them off. There could be a word you're using right now, which Facebook has no problem with, but with a crisis that happens in the next month, suddenly that word becomes anathema. So what you want to do is own as much of your digital real estate as you can. And one of the simple ways to do that is to get people on an email list. So when Rick said, get on my email list, he's not kidding. This is, he's running promotions for this. So go to warhogg.com. That's 2 G's, warhogg.com. Get on his email list. I want every listener to do that today. Check out what he's doing course-wise. And even if you maybe don't have any plans to take any courses this year, maybe you need to. Not enough firearms training out there. A lot of firearms being bought, but not a lot of training. And we understand about the ammo shortages, but Rick, what are you doing in light of the ammo shortages?
Yeah, so we're doing, we're kind of focusing more on one-day classes, and we've really trimmed down the round count. So typically, I'm trying to cap no more than 300 rounds per training event. But here's the thing: even if you show up, and you go, "Hey, I've only got 100 rounds," trust me, you can still come to a class, and we'll still make those 100 rounds the best 100 rounds that you're going to use. So we are changing with the times. We will work with each student accordingly. Hey, if you're that guy that's sitting on umpteen gazillion rounds and you want to shoot more, great, more power to you. I'm not going to stop you.
Right.
If you're on the shortage, trust me, I will work with you to maximize every bullet that you have.
Yeah, you have to understand, Rick has been a part of Special Forces teams that are some of the finest shooters in the world. And he's got there's a DVD, right? Panteo did a.
Yep. We got a couple of them.
Got a couple of them there. So Rick is a sought after guy. So this is just not, he's not an echo, he's a voice. And whenever Mac runs courses and he needs extra help, he always asks Rick to come in because he loves the way Rick trains, the way Rick handles himself. So I really hope you guys go to warhogg.com, and again, Warhogg Tactical on Instagram. So connect with Rick today. Rick will be back. We consider Rick and professor at the University of Badassery, and I mean it, but he's also a good friend, and it's been great getting to know you over the past year, man.
Yeah, awesome. Buddy. 100% it has been.
So we'll have you back on again, but thanks again, buddy, for doing the Spotlight edition. I think people got a lot
absolutely
out of it, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it, brother.
He'll talk dog all day long.
All day.
All right, guys. So check if you want to join the Pat Mack Keep the Blaze Alive coaching squad, which I encourage you to do. Just go to patreon.com/coaching squad. And then I'm at Metal Motivator. We are at University of Badassery. He is at T-Max Inc. I think everybody knows by now. We'll include all this information also for Rick in the show notes, so you'll have access to it. But we will see you guys next time. Can't tell you when the next episode is. We never know. We're that bad. But yet people still keep coming back. I think that's the Mac factor there. So anyway, Rick, you stay on. I'll sign this off. And you guys take care. We will see you next time. Remember, whatever you do,
don't suck.
Metal up.